In this week's video, April interviews our realtor to answer one of the many questions we've been asked. How did we buy a house in France? As you've likely guessed, we have returned to California and are now left with just dreaming about the day we return. Meanwhile, this gives us a chance to answer some of the questions we've been asked about the buying process. Who better to ask than our realtor, Andrew Merchant, an expert who guided us through the somewhat complicated process. When putting together this interview, we said to ourselves, we wish we had this information when we began our search. Enjoy the interview. We will see you next week.
Okay, good morning to Andrew Merchant, well, in our opinion, best French realtor. But we have, through this little YouTube channel, have gotten probably the most questions about how do we do it. And so in our French class, people have said, I didn't imagine that was something I could do until I saw you guys do it. And we always have to pause and say, well, but it was a lot easier because of Andrew. So I hope it's okay, but we have some questions that we wanted to just find out some more about you and about the house buying process. So if it's okay, we'll get started.
Yep, no problem at all. Let's go.
Okay. Tell us about you and the services you provide. How long have you been a real estate agent? Where do you sell homes? And then we also wanted you to talk about the amazing translation services too.
Okay, so as April's already said, my name's Andrew Merchant. I'm the Regional Director for Agence Newton Immobilier. So I'm actually based in the Limousin region of France, which is the centre, bang smack in the centre of France. However, our company has two separate degrees. We have the centre of France, we have the southern part of France, and we also have the northern part of France. So as an agency, we have somewhere around 30 agents commercials working nationally. There is areas within France we don't cover, which we're building on now, but we do have a very good national cover between north and south. So I've been an estate agent for 20 years in France, arrived in France and did all my qualifications. And I've actually been based in the same town for the past 20 years.
Excellent. And what advice would you give to someone from America if they were interested in purchasing a home in France?
Okay, so as you're aware, I have quite a lot of American clients and have sold to many American clients over the years. One of the main things we come across, a lot of the American clients do want to buy properties blind. I am really against that. I don't like it. Sometimes it's a success story, other times it's not. So my main advice, I know America's a long way away from France, but really if you do want to come out here, do what April did and come and view the property first before committing to buy it, because you don't know how honest the estate agent's going to be with you via video calls.
And I think too, one thing that we realized was that things can look a lot different in a picture than they do in reality and seeing it. And that can work to your benefit and to your detriment. But I concur. And it also helps to have an idea of the type of the area around where you want to buy to. I think you have to well, either be super lucky like we were, or do a lot of research, and do a lot of research. So is it difficult for Americans to get financing in France?
Financing side is really difficult at the moment, and I'm not just saying this isn't just Americans. This is the French banks at the moment. Like everybody else, France has gone through COVID. There's been a lot of problems with the finances within the country. So what we're finding is the banks generally over the last couple of years have been pretty closed doors, and that's even for the French. So the problem with financing, I'm not saying it's impossible, but by coming over here, there's a lot of things that Americans would need to prove to be able to get a mortgage. And most of it's income related, and 9 times out of 10, the French banks won't accept the various tax documents from America. So I'm saying it's not impossible, but it's hard work.
It's hard work, yeah. And we had heard many stories, even though, you know, we had come kind of with a budget, and we knew that we had a certain amount of cash to use, but we still hear, you know, stories of how difficult it is to get a bank account and get utilities. And well, again, you're super helpful. You're absolutely instrumental with that. So
I was going to say, you know that I can do that. I can get you a bank account. I can do
yeah.
utilities. I've done it for you. There is horror stories out there about not being able to get bank accounts, but it's all about, again, down to the agent being able to tell you what relevant paperwork you need to bring with you to actually open a bank account. And, I advised you before you came over, we went there and we opened a bank account very smoothly.
Yeah. And to be honest, I think that your community connections too were a huge benefit to us. Like just you knowing who to reach out to and how to do that was pretty powerful.
That's
So
down to experience again. I've 20 years of experience in the same area. So yes, of course, I've built up a network of tradesmen. I've built up a network of different companies that I work with that I can guarantee and I know their work's going to be correct. So yeah, it's down to the experience in the network I've built up.
and that brings up a really good point. Like if let's just say you don't stumble upon an Andrew and or an agent's Newton, what's the best way to find a property in France? What do you recommend?
So initially, that's a really hard one because, as you know, in every industry, there's good and bad. So I would take what we're doing here, for example, a video call. Your recommendation is to use me. I think anybody should take a recommendation on people they've used previously, because the recommendations are so important, because there is some bad estate agents here and they'll cost you money.
Do you or do agents act as brokers for buyers, even if they're not the ones who list the property?
Generally, no, it doesn't come within the territory of what we do. We can occasionally, depending on who the other agent is, we have what's called a delegation of mandate. Now, if, for example, somebody finds a property, you come to me and say, I found this property, it's on with such and such. That agent might be approachable, that we can go to them and say, right, we have a client who's interested in your property. Are you prepared to share the mandate with us and share the commission? Some of them are going to say yes, some are going to say no. If they say yes, it's fine. Yes, we can broker it and, work with a client and the other agency to make sure everything's done correctly.
Gotcha. Oh, thank you. Again, these are questions that we've gotten. What taxes can a new homeowner expect to pay on like €100,000 home?
Okay, so from a purchase tax point of view, so if they found €100,000 property that includes agency fee, they're then going to have to pay approximately another 8%, which is the government purchase tax, and includes the notaires fee. The notaires administration fee is normally about 23% of that total. So altogether, if you're looking at property 100,000, you're looking at about another €8,000 on top for purchase taxes, including the notaires fee.
Mhm.
After that, tax-wise, we have what's called taxe foncière. Taxe foncière is a government tax. It's based on the size of the property, the size of the land. Everyone has to pay that. If you're living in France, there is also what's called taxed habitation. Taxed habitation is not for permanent home owners here. We don't actually pay it. However, secondary homeowners will pay it. However, we can't give you that figure as estate agent because we don't know. It's a personal tax and it's calculated after you've bought the property.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we'll have to look ours up so that we can we can share.
You will find it will come to you. It will siphon its way through probably about October this year.
Yeah, we're looking forward because I think that at that year mark, we're going to get, a recalculation of several different parts of the bills. So we're interested. So what can people expect the inspection processes to be in France? What's required?
What, from start when they first come to visit a property?
Yeah.
So initially, various agents work in different ways. You know, I work totally different to everybody else. A lot of agents will refuse to see people to visit properties unless they can prove that they've got funds in place to purchase.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually not like that. You know, every client has to start a journey somewhere. You know, that journey, we could be the first couple of years into it, we could be right up to the final stage before they're ready to buy. So as far as I'm concerned, anybody that walks through my door, whether they're in a position to proceed immediately or whether just starting their journey, I'm quite happy to see and visit properties with.
Mm.
I think initially you need to work out the area you want to be in. The area is really, really important. And then start searching around that particular area and really nail it down to a very, very small radius of maybe 5, maybe 10 kilometers, which I think is actually what you did eventually. You actually narrowed it down and narrowed it down. You actually got to that very, very tight kilometer circle where you wanted to be.
That's true. So um, when it comes to the house purchase and you have to like verify the conditions, we in America they talk about it being like due diligence, right? Like you have to go in and make sure that it's safe and that things are um, livable. Were Are those contractors arranged by the seller? Are they arranged by the buyer? Both?
Okay, so we have, I'm not sure, I don't know the process particularly well in America. I know the UK version. We don't have what's called structural surveys in France. They actually don't exist. I'm not saying you can't have it done. There is actually contractors, there is surveyors that come over from the UK that are registered to do so. However, the actual structural survey doesn't naturally exist. So it's something that you have to pay for or organise. However, within the buying process, there is diagnostics. Now, diagnostics will give you a good idea of the condition of the electrics. It will tell you if there's asbestos at the property. It will tell you if there's lead at the property. Now, we're not talking lead pipes here, like in the UK. We're talking lead in the paint. So it's paint pre-1948 that needs to be taken care of. If you're going to sand something down, wear a mask and don't lick your fingers, for example. You'll also get what's called an attack to risk and pollution, which gives you an idea of whether the property is on a floodplain, whether where it has subsidence around the area, all the different natural risks that are possibly available at that house. It will give you information on that as well. And most importantly, as everybody's aware of it now, we have what's called the DPE, which is the energy efficiency. Obviously, that's become a global issue now that everyone needs to run their properties efficiently. So the DPE is based much the same, I'd imagine, in America, on an A to G basis, G being the lowest, A being the highest. So realistically, if you in this area, because it's old stone farmhouses and old houses, if you can achieve somewhere around an E, you're doing well.
Very good. Is it difficult to find contractors to work on properties in France?
Good contractors, yes.
Like America.
Yes. So yeah, good contractors. Same again, it's the same as a estate agent. It's word of mouth. You know, listen to people that give recommendations because they much the same in any industry. There's good and bad. And I think if a builder came along to you and said, "Oh, I can start tomorrow," I would run a mile because we don't want anybody that can start tomorrow because it means they've got no work. If the builder says you've got to wait 6 months or a year, we know that builder's good because he's full of work.
Right. That makes sense. So what do you see from like the estate agent side as being the biggest challenge to purchasing a home in France?
I never have any challenges because I do it for everybody.
Because your student's so good.
There is no challenge because that's what I'm here for. That's what my job is. You know, my job is to make any transaction go as smoothly as possible without complication. So yeah, nothing is a challenge to me. There's always, if there's ever a problem, there's always a solution.
Yeah.
And there always is a solution.
I have to back you up on that, Andrew. You made it absolutely as easy or easier than, you know, any of the homes that we've purchased here in the US, which was completely unexpected. So I can back up. Your
I
content.
think, as an estate agent, and it's important, transparency all the time with your clients, totally, because the transparency builds a good relationship. Your clients can then trust you.
Mhm.
And this is the main thing. All clients, whether it be vendors or purchasers, have to have a confidence in the person they're dealing with, and that has to be built around trust. So yeah, that's the only challenge I have, is building up that initial trust with any client.
Mhm. So what would you say is the hardest part of your job?
Honestly, um, I have difficult clients sometimes.
I think,
I also have extremely nice clients, as you know. I'm actually talking to one at the moment.
oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I can see that. So what's the part that you love the most about your job besides being
Absolutely,
famous?
I absolutely love it all, and otherwise I wouldn't have been doing it after 20 years.
Mm.
Every property is different, from a property that's for sale for 10,000 or a property that's for sale for 100 million. You know what I sell. I sell properties from low end of the market up to luxurious chateaus,
Mhm.
and everyone gives me the same excitement, gives me the same motivation to wake up in the morning.
Mhm.
It's nothing particular. I love going around different houses and seeing different things. I like going back to houses after people have bought them and seeing what they've done, the transformation. The transformation on your house already, just by putting a log burner in, it's made
Yeah,
so much difference.
it really has. It was most welcome. We just you know, little by little, it's becoming ours. I think we're gonna, you know, be back for a couple of months in the summer, and so we have some more things planned. It's exciting, but you know, um, there's so much that we want to keep original because, well, as you know, with that house, it was just it's so historic and such a cozy little space. Um, so Andrew, I want to say thank you, and I want to um, make sure that we let everyone know that we're putting a link to your agency and to you in the description below. So if people want to reach out to see it and contact you, they can do that. But we just really appreciate you and appreciate you taking the time. And I want to just tell you, we're going to invite you back to have some wine and just relax with us this summer. We're looking forward to seeing you again.
The wine sounds brilliant.
Yes, right? From
No,
Bordeaux, as I remember.
anyone who wants to contact me at all, you don't even have to be in a position that you want to buy. If it's general information, even at the start of the journey, just contact me. I have no issues with dealing with people that are well at the start of their journey and seeing it right through. I'm dealing with clients, now. I've just sold a house a couple of weeks ago. I've been dealing with these clients for 4 years. So, I have no worries about anyone at the start of their journey, and that's what I'm here for.
Thank you, Andrew. It's so good to
You're
see
more than
you.
welcome.
We appreciate you so much. Thanks for taking the time today.
No problem. You take care.
You
Bye.
too. Bye, bud.